The world beneath the waves was a symphony of color and life, a kingdom of shimmering scales and ancient coral castles. Lyra, daughter of the Mer-Queen, was its most unusual subject. While her sisters sang songs to tame the tides, Lyra's voice could command the water itself. While others could communicate with dolphins, Lyra could feel the slow, grinding grief of the continental plates. She was an Aqua-Sentient, a mermaid born with a connection to the very soul of the ocean. For centuries, her powers were a gentle secret. She would soothe a tempest, guide a lost whale calf, or coax a deep-sea vent to bloom with greater warmth. But then, the sickness began. It started subtly. A metallic tang on the current, a dull headache for the elder turtles. Then came the great gray patches, vast deserts in the water where nothing grew, where fish swam listlessly, their gills clogged with an invisible poison. The coral forests of kale, which had glowed with bioluminescence for millennia, began to bleach, their vibrant hues fading to a deathly white. Lyra felt it all. It was a constant, screaming pain in her soul. She would press her hands against a dying reef and feel the echo of the surface world, the thunder of oil rigs, the chemical spill from a careless freighter, the endless suffocating rain of plastic. "The two-leggeds are killing us," the Mer-Queen whispered, her voice heavy with a despair no trident could vanquish. "Their poisons seep into our veins. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot see." But Lyra could see. Her powers allowed her to perceive the world not as separate entities, but as a single, interconnected system. She saw the toxic rivers on land that became toxic currents in the sea. She saw the clouds of carbon dioxide as a suffocating blanket. The ocean was dying of a fever, and mankind was the disease. One night, as a pod of sperm whales sang a haunting, mournful dirge for their lost calves, Lyra made a decision. She would not fight with tooth and trident. She would fight with the ocean itself. She swam to the heart of the Great Gray Patch, a place so dead even the bacteria struggled. Closing her amethyst eyes, she stretched out her arms. Her voice, a low, resonant hum that was more vibration than sound, pulsed outwards. She wasn't just cleaning the water, she was commanding the microscopic life within it. She awakened dormant strains of bacteria, guiding them to feast on the oil slicks. She persuaded algae to bloom, not in a choking swarm, but in a cleansing filter, drawing the toxins into their bodies and converting them to harmless salts. The gray water began to clear, and a single brave sprig of kelp took root. News of the miracle of the gray patch spread through the abyssal trenches and sunlit shallows. Hope, long absent, began to flicker. But Lyra knew this was only a local cure for a global sickness. She needed to deliver a message, a warning. She gathered her strength and swam to the Gibraltar Abyss, the deepest chasm in the Atlantic. There, she placed her hands on the cold, ancient rock and reached deep into the planet's consciousness. She spoke to the tectonic plates, not with words, but with intent. She showed them the fragility of the world above, the imbalance. In response, the ocean stirred. It did not rage. It did not tsunami. Instead, it began a slow, deliberate reclamation. In coastal cities around the world, seawater began to seep up through drains and foundations, not as a violent flood, but as an inexorable, rising damp. The water was clean, startlingly so, but it was persistent. It flooded basements, submerged parking garages, and lapped at the feet of skyscrapers. There was no storm to blame, no hurricane to curse. It was as if the ocean itself was simply taking a deeper breath. Simultaneously, every naval and commercial vessel on the planet found itself becalmed. Their propellers churned uselessly in water that had become thick, almost gelatinous. Sonar and radar screens dissolved into static, blinded by a sudden, intense bloom of plankton Lyra had coaxed from the depths. Mankind was not being attacked. It was being quarantined. The world watched in stunned silence as crystal-clear living water filled their streets, bringing with it a silent parade of marine life. Curious dolphins poked their heads into submerged subway tunnels. Schools of glittering fish swam through shopping malls. A great blue whale, its song a vibration that shook the very glass of the coastal cities, swam slowly past the drowned skyline of what was once a great port. The message was unmistakable. This is not yours to destroy. We are all connected. Lyra, hovering in the deep, felt the shift. She felt the moment of human panic turn to awe, and then to a profound, shamed understanding. She saw the images they broadcast of their children marveling at an octopus in a playground, of engineers not building walls, but designing ways to cleanse the poisoned rivers that fed the sea. The sickness had not been eradicated, but the fever was breaking. Weeks later, the waters began to recede, as slowly and deliberately as they had arrived. They left behind not ruin, but renewal. The air smelled cleaner. The beaches were pristine, scoured of pollution and litter. And in the hearts of humanity, a new resolve was born. Back in the rejuvenated coral forests of Kyle, Lyra rested. The constant scream in her soul had quieted to a whisper. The Mer-Queen placed a crown of glowing pearl and living kelp upon her daughter's head. "You did not conquer them, my daughter," the queen said, her voice full of pride. "You awakened them." Lyra looked up towards the surface, towards the shimmering boundary between her world and theirs. She had not saved the sea from mankind. She had saved it by reminding mankind that they too were of the sea. And for the first time in a long time, the ocean felt not like a victim, but like a patient beginning to heal. The end. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.